Hello, everybody, and welcome to an artistic rendition of the Untold. Of course, the show we have amazing people, highly creative people, uniquely individuals who are very talented. Of course, tonight we have Jowan Almesbah, who's a very talented artist. Wouldn't you say so, Jane?
Honestly, I agree. She does traditional artwork using pencil as a medium to create very realistic animal drawings, but she's also a marine scientist. So that's a very interesting combination.
It is a very interesting combination. I'm sure the audiences are so curious after, listening to that, hearing what she is, two worlds and trying to balance it between being an artist and between being a scientist. With that, we are going to take a break, so come back for the interview part. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, after the break. And I do want to welcome you, Jowan Misbah, here on The Untold for being our guest tonight. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And it's such a pleasure to have you. And I've heard that you're both a traditional artist and also a marine scientist.
Yes.
And I got to say, I think growing up, those were two of my dream kind of jobs. So before we get into all of that, I kind of want to ask you, what made you first begin drawing?
Well, I come from a family of artists. My mom is an artist, my grandma's an artist. A lot of my cousins are artists. So art is literally runs in my blood.
Oh, mashallah. And art is such a broad term, right? There are so many different forms of art. So what would you say is your art style and, the kind of style that kind of defines you?
I tried a lot of mediums before, but I think realism, using colored pencils, is my preferred method of art.
Honestly, that's so amazing to hear. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten kind of physical art and traditional art, especially using pencils as a medium. I've seen some of your work, and it's so realistic and so amazing. A lot of people, I think, focus too much on the digital side of things these days. So it's great to see someone who's kind of gone back to the roots of art, you could say. I do want to ask you, though, this kind of art style that you have, is it something that you always kind of went for, or did it develop over time?
Well, since I was a kid, I always tried a lot of mediums. I tried acrylics, markers, watercolors, colored pencils, and a lot more. But I focused lately on colored pencils.
And, is there a reason why you chose this one in particular? Because you've tried so many things. So what is it about this one in particular that made you think, okay, this is what I want to do, this is my style?
I found colored pencils to be more detailed than, for example, acrylics or watercolors. So I like details a lot. So I preferred colored pencils more than the rest.
That's really cool. I think I didn't know that you could get so much detail out of colored pencils so much. I love art, but I never did it in a more professional kind of way. It was just sort of like the way I would draw as like a little kid draws, you could say, But I do want to ask you, because you also mentioned being a marine scientist. So did that kind of influence your art style as well?
It helped me with my studies. Yeah, art helped me a lot. When, for example, when we study the anatomy of a fish, let's say, I can easily draw a fish and draw all the parts of the body. Like I had a presentation once where I was explaining the cardiovascular system of the fish. So I easily drew the cardiovascular systems, the hearts, the arteries, the everything.
Oh, mashallah, it's always great to have, an encyclopedia of drawings so you can, transfer your thoughts and tell people you don't need to listen to me, just watch my drawing and to understand me. So I do want to ask you about something, your paintings, your drawings are so realistic. So how do you choose, your source, say picture, the thing that you want to, draw? Like, how do you choose between all of them?
My go-to app for photos is Pinterest. I like going there more than any other platform. I try to look for photos that are very detailed, not very blurred like this.
And why did you choose animals more than anything else?
I can draw other things like peoples, but I like animals a lot.
I think that's kind of explanatory since you're a marine scientist, right? Yeah, you gotta be loving the animals to studying them. But I do want to ask you about something, when it comes to the actual drawing itself, going from A all the way to the last alphabet, which I forgot right now. How long does the process usually take you?
Depending on the details of the drawing, but usually from like a week to 2, maybe 3.
Okay, it makes sense that good art will take time. I think a lot of people think you can finish something off in a day, and they don't realize how much work and how much time and effort goes into something
Yeah.
like that, especially to make it as realistic as you do. And when you spoke before about how it helps with your marine sciences and everything, it took me back to how in the olden days, almost like in the past, they'd had to draw anatomies and things like that. If you look at old textbooks,
Yeah.
all old scientists, they all have their own drawings of plants, of animals. And I used to always wish I could do that. So it's really cool to talk to someone who does do that, like for a living. I do want to ask you though, like, what would you say is the most difficult part of your creative process?
The beginning of the drawing is the difficult part. Because I draw doing the grid method, it takes a lot of time. That's why I think it's the most difficult part.
Oh, and what is the grid method?
A grid method is basically drawing the grids by using a ruler, drawing like squares in your photo and on your paper, and then copying in every square in the photo, you do the exact same on your paper. This is the grid method.
Oh, wow.
It is. And like, how did you learn all of this? Like, did you take, art classes throughout the years, or is it something like, how did you reach your endpoint of style?
I tried a lot of workshops. YouTube helped me a lot.
Would you say it's very difficult to create difficult realistic animal drawings?
Yeah, that does.
So how do you deal with that kind of difficult levels?
Trial and error.
It's a lot of trial and error, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
what art is.
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself criticizing your own photos too much?
Oh, too much, yeah.
I always feel like artists are too hard on themselves.
It is, yeah. Sometimes people who create a lot of art are their own worst critic, right? Sometimes you see something, you say, oh, this doesn't look right. But like 20 people are going to look at it and they say, oh, that looks absolutely right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when it comes to your own artwork, what is something that can make you say, oh, this doesn't look right, this doesn't look right?
Maybe when I focus too much on the photo and then I draw and then it doesn't really look the same exactly, but maybe a little bit different. People would look at my photo and be like, oh no, that looks like a cat. But I feel like, no, it doesn't look like a cat.
I think that's the hard part, on focusing on more realistic drawing. Doesn't give you much room for error, kind of, because something that's realistic is going to look like it does in real life. So if it looks too different, it's not going to work out the same way. But I also do think that maybe it looks better than you think it does, because I think a lot of people look at your artwork and they're like, wow, that's something I could never do. That looks so real. That looks so like something that's just, it looks like you took it out of a picture. You took a picture of it, not that you drew it. But I have found that artists are always their harshest critics. And I know you said that you use coloring and pencils, but do you ever use any other mediums?
Yes, I do. Doing the colored pencils, sometimes I mix it with markers, or now I'm currently trying pastels with colored pencils.
Now, also when it comes to your art, because as someone like me who looks at the artwork, mashallah, and you have your book here, you were showing us some of your drawings, they look absolutely real. Like, what is it something about a drawing that makes it look real? Like what? Because for me, I don't know what it is. Some paintings look like drawings, right? And then others look like realistic things. So what is it about this particular thing that makes it look real?
The lighting and shading, doing, for example, the background, let's say. Some people like draw an animal, but they don't continue. They don't do the background. They, for example, highlight some parts that shouldn't be highlighted, for example. That's, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a lot of details that we don't know about Abdullah because we don't draw, so we're not aware of these like little things that it just wouldn't come to our minds at all. I think we'd be happy if our friends like accepted a stick figure drawing from us, Art though can be a very difficult process because I know a lot of people can go through creative slumps or be blocked. What do you do when your motivation is low?
I try to take a break every now and then. Every time I have an art block, I don't force myself to draw, because every time I force myself to draw, nothing really pops out. So taking a break really helps.
And is that your only method of fighting artist block?
Sometimes I do scroll through Pinterest or Instagram. When I see people drawing, it kind of motivates me a little bit.
It seems to be the going thing for artists, because I know a lot of them do suffer from creative blocks, mental blocks. And you're right, if you try to force it, I think that's kind of the case with everything in life, though. If you try to force something, it just doesn't work, right? It can't happen in the right way. Mm-hmm. But you take a step back, you give it time, you let it room to breathe, and especially creativity, which is such you could say a roller coaster of emotions and ideas. It's not something linear. It's going to have ups, it's going to have downs.
Yeah.
So I think you're very right to take a step back from this and allow yourself to let that, you know, well of inspiration kind of grow again. So I do want to ask you though, because not only do you do this as like a hobby for yourself, but you've also started sharing your work online. So why did you choose to do that?
Why do I choose to do it online?
So why did you choose to share your art online?
To help inspire people. Sometimes I do some videos where I share my art tips. I also learn from other people as well.
That's really cool.
It is. And you know, speaking about looking for inspirations, are there like any animals you like to draw most, you know, as opposed to others?
Birds. I like drawing birds, but I don't like birds.
So is there a reason why you like drawing birds?
The feathers are really easy to draw. That's why I like them.
But you don't like them as a creature.
You know, I don't like them.
That's so funny. It's funny that you don't like birds, but you love to draw them. I think that happens to a lot of us with some animals we may like, but we may not like them in certain aspects. And when you said the feathers, it does make a lot of sense. 'Cause I can imagine feathers being something very beautiful to draw as well. We are going to take a very quick break, and then we'll get right back into it. So stay tuned for after the break. And we're back from that short break. So I did want to ask you if you don't mind, because me and Abdullah really love seeing your art, and we think the audience would love it too. So if you don't mind, would you care to share some of your sketches with us?
Yeah, of course. Here is a drawing of a killer whale.
Wow. It's so beautiful. I love the colors, and it's so realistic also.
It is. And like a drawing like this, how long did it take you?
This one, maybe about a week, 2 weeks.
Oh, I feel like it would take much longer if I tried, you know?
MashaAllah, it looks so detailed. And what about the colors? Like, how do you choose the exact color you use? Because I know for drawings that are opposed to a picture, you gotta be creative with your colors.
I mix a lot of colors. For example, in the sea, I did mix blues and greens and purples.
Oh, you
to
wouldn't
create
see
it.
all that. You just see blue, but it's crazy how there's so much depth and so many different colors that kind of create this really vibrant kind of color. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, that's so cute. It's so funny. So you do realistic ones, but you also put your own spin on it sometimes. I love that.
I mean, this resembles my own cat, you know, sometimes.
Is that what it does to you at home?
Yeah, sometimes, you know, when it's night and nobody's gonna believe me, he does these kind of faces.
I love it. Oh, wow. It looks like it's actually looking at me.
MashaAllah, that is extremely detailed, MashaAllah.
This one was the
yeah.
first colored pencil drawing I did.
Really, that's the first one you did? You wouldn't be able to tell when you see the feathers that you just mentioned. Like, they look so detailed.
It is honestly like if you don't tell me, you know, you made it with a pencil, I wouldn't know. It looks like a picture exactly. I'm not sure the audience can see it from the camera, but MashaAllah, it absolutely looks like a picture.
Like, they're super realistic.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's cute too. You can tell I'm a cat person. But that's so kind. And you even managed to get the expression perfect, which I don't think is easy.
It is. Now, out of all these, you know, drawings, what would you say is the one that took you the longest?
Probably the first one, this one.
Is it because you were still learning the process?
That makes sense. I think once you get the hang of things, it's easier to kind of keep going with it, right?
Yeah.
I love the flowers on its head. That's such a pretty cat. Like, it looks like a real cat. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, he does look like a real cat.
Like, you took a picture of a cat and put one of those filters on it.
So would you call yourself a cat person? Because now I think we had 3 or 4 drawings out of
Yeah,
you.
I'm a cat person.
Me too, girl. Don't worry. But no, your drawings are so hyper realistic, and they're so professionally done. You can tell that you have so much passion for it,
Thank you
because
so much.
it's not just you're doing pictures as you see them. You put some fun in it. You can tell that you're putting your own flair on it, which is what most artists do, and that's really amazing.
It is. And honestly, so if some of the audiences are watching this and they're like, okay, I want to learn this. I know you mentioned YouTube workshops, but what is something or some, you know, kind of lesson that, or some place or a school or whether it's YouTube or whatever, you'd say had the biggest impact on learning you or teaching you how to make drawings like this?
YouTube is really easy, free, and a lot of professional artists use YouTube to help us learn. I prefer YouTube.
I feel like it's really inspirational for the audience to know that you taught yourself all of this, right? You didn't go to any fancy art classes, you didn't have to pay money. You just had a passion for art and for drawing. And with time, you managed to get to a point where people would pay to get to this level, you know? Did it take you a long time to kind of get to this level of realism in your art?
Of course, yeah. It did take me a lot of time. Trial and error, yeah.
MashaAllah. And for some, some person like me who doesn't know a lot about art, is it like a next evolution of this kind of, art style, or is this something, this is bulletproof now?
Every day I learn new things. While I draw, I sometimes open YouTube and listen to artists explaining how they do their own drawings, the process, the tips, everything. So I learn a new thing every day.
MashaAllah.
Would you have any advice for beginners who are just starting out and they want to do more realistic art, but I think a lot of people have that in them that they want to give up after a few times and it doesn't go anywhere. So what advice do you have for them?
Try new things every time until you find your art style.
But also, mashallah, because when it comes to learning or learning from YouTube, for example, there's no instructor to tell you, no, you've made this line wrong, you've made this wrong. So how did you overcome that barrier? Like how did you know what you were doing was right? Because there's no one next to you to tell you this is right, this is wrong.
In art, I don't feel like there is a right and wrong. I like to add my own touch on my drawings. That's it.
And most people, they struggle to find their own touch. And you said that you taught yourself. Do you ever see yourself teaching others to do this also?
Inshallah, in the future, yeah.
Is that one of your goals?
Inshallah, yeah.
So you want to be an art teacher one day also?
Not an art teacher, but I really wish to do workshops. I'm currently right now thinking of opening like a workshop or two in the summer.
Oh, that would be amazing.
It was, honestly. And, this style, mashallah, it looks like, something that a lot of people can be excited about. Now, speaking about styles, are there any other art styles that you're kind of, curious about, you want to seek out next and stuff?
I really wish to try oil painting. I tried that one time, but I really want to kind of focus a little bit on oil painting as well.
Yeah, no, oil painting is also one of those older mediums of art that I think a lot of people are getting back into, but at the same time, I think there is a sense that with the way that AI and social media and modern technology is going, there's this kind of fear that the old art techniques might disappear. So I want to ask you what your thoughts on that are. Do you think that due to AI and all of that, that maybe these older methods of art like pencil or oil might disappear?
Yeah, it will disappear eventually.
Oh no.
But to me, I don't really prefer AI when creating images. I like the old-fashioned way of drawing. I don't use AI, but I use AI for homeworks, but not for drawings at all.
I mean, I think that's pretty important. I think a lot of people now focus too much on AI and using it for arts and other things like that, for creative things. And they're forgetting...
Because it's easy and cheap and free. Yeah.
But I think it also forgets that human touch that only a person like you can add to the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you. I think people should not forget the old ways almost. I think there must be a way to kind of merge the old and the new together, but I think we're at a point where things are evolving so quickly, it's hard to keep up.
It is, as long as it can help us with our homeworks, not all for AI, but when it comes to the artistry and creativity, especially with this kind of, style, I don't think AI can replicate it, because this kind of things, like, it requires a soul, right? And AI is soulless by definition. So I do want to ask you about something. Have you tried digital painting, with the tablets and everything?
Yeah, I tried digital painting. I didn't really like it, but I'm still in the process where I want to improve my digital arting.
And is that because in the future you think it's going to become more of a necessity?
Maybe, but it's much easier than colored pencils.
Well, I'm sure, because I think in general, that's the whole point of technology, right? It's to make our life easier.
Yeah.
It gives you that shortcut that by hand you can't do. Like something that would take you, as you said, 3 weeks on paper may take you half that time or less online. So it's a confusing world we live in, I think, where art is really changing, everything is changing. I just do think we need to find that balance between the old and the new to keep humanity there as well. And I do want to also ask you, like, going back, because you also mentioned being a marine scientist. And I don't know about you, Abdullah, but when I was a kid, me and my friends were obsessed with the idea of being marine scientists or biologists. I don't know why. I think it was the idea of the ocean and animals and all that stuff. It just seemed like such a fun job. So I do want to ask you, though, because Being a scientist and being an artist are usually two different things. So what led you down that path?
I have always been a science girl. I love science. I always wanted to do something in the future, like a job, that was related to science, not related to art. But my family always thought that I would be an art teacher or study something related to art, but I didn't want that. I wanted science.
You know, it's funny. I think it's the opposite way around usually, where the family is like, you have to be a scientist, you can't be an artist. Whereas your family was like, you're so good at art, I'm sure you're going to go into art. So it's kind of a difference in what we usually hear.
It is. And like she said, mashallah, in the beginning, a lot of your family members are artists themselves. So they're like, we know this path, we can take it this path for you. But, you know, what made you choose marine scientists specifically? Because, you know, wildlife is so different. There are wildlife in, you know, in the desert, wildlife in forests, wildlife in the skies. I know you said you don't like birds, you like to paint them. You said you're a cat lady, but what made you specifically go towards, you know, marine life?
Marine science combines 4 types of science: biology, physics, geology, and chemistry.
Oh, mashallah.
So I love a lot of science. Like, I love chemistry and biology, also physics. That's why I chose marine science.
That's really cool. I think a lot of people aren't aware that you can kind of go into both worlds, right? That you got to do the best of both. Like, you got to enjoy your scientific career because you love science, but you also got to focus on your hobby and skills as an artist. So what do you have to say for people who think they can only choose one path?
You can always choose 2 paths. Art can always be a hobby. I chose art as my hobby, not my job. You can always choose 2 careers.
You know, mashallah, when you talk, you make it sound so easy, but this to me looks
It looks so hard.
It looks like one of the most difficult art styles I've ever seen in my life, right? Using a pencil and they look picture realistic, you know, and you're like, oh, just
Yeah, just
learn
do it, it's fine.
Mashallah, you know, this is incredible talent, and I'm sure you've had a lot of great support, but it all comes to your efforts, you know, right? So honestly, I wish the audience can see how realistic they look, you know, up close, because it's like a photo. I mean, 2 of them, 3 of them fooled me. If you said it was a picture, I would be like, oh, that is definitely a picture.
Thank you so much.
Do you also think that having a good support system, because your family are artists, helped you with your art?
Yeah, they do. My mom was the one that taught me watercolors.
Amazing.
I never really liked watercolor in the first place, but she told me to try it. I tried it and I loved it.
No, that's really cool. I think always, it's all, as you said, just try things, just do things, and you'll find out if it's for you or not. So I want to thank you for sharing that with us and sharing your journey as well, and your art.
Thank you so much.
Well, all thanks honestly goes to you as well as to the audience that are tuned in. We're going to take a break, so stay tuned.
And we're back from that short break, and Abdullah, wow, her art was so realistic and so amazing. And I loved the way she talked about how she has the passion from art from a young age, but she also loved science and let that be her job and art as her hobby. But even as a hobby, she reached a professional level.
It is, mashallah, you know, I honestly, you know, I can say wallah, right? I truly wish the audience could see the art book that she has here. Her drawings are so realistic. It's hard to imagine, you know, if she didn't tell us it was color pencils, I would have thought that it was just printed photos. They look so realistic. And to see that her journey was about self-learning from watching YouTube videos, right? The trial and error she repeated so many times during the episode. It's amazing, you know, showcase of talent.
I agree, and I think it's very motivational for the audience to know that as beginners, they can learn themselves to reach a level that professional, to one day be even hosting their own workshops maybe. And not only that, but just to have that love of art within you and create what you want, even if it's a more traditional style, which may be getting forgotten now, but she's bringing it back, and I appreciate that.
It is. We appreciate that. We appreciate her joining the program today. But unfortunately, dear viewers, that's it from us here of The Untold. Until next episode, goodbye for now.
Goodbye, and see you next time.